The oldest animals that are still currently alive. Imagine creatures that have survived not just decades, but hundreds of millions of years. Some of them were alive before the first dinosaurs appeared, yet they still glide, crawl, or float in our oceans today. How have these ancient animals endured mass extinctions, shifting continents, and dramatic climate changes? Following them, in this video, reveals unexpected survival strategies, strange life cycles, and adaptations that defy modern understanding. From the armored horseshoe crab to the elusive coelacanth, each living fossil carries a story older than most landscapes. Watching them uncovers secrets about evolution, resilience, and the hidden patterns that have kept life thriving for hundreds of millions of years. Horseshoe crab. Along the shallow waters of the eastern coast of the United States and parts of Southeast Asia, a strange silhouette moves beneath the waves. Horseshoe crabs, with their domed shells and long tails, have existed in a form almost unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. Fossil evidence shows that creatures nearly identical to modern horseshoe crabs roamed the oceans more than 450 million years ago. They have survived multiple mass extinctions, making them living fossils of the marine world. These animals are most visible during the spring, when thousands come ashore to spawn. Beaches in Delaware Bay and along the Atlantic seaboard are covered with clattering shells as the crabs crawl over sand to lay eggs. Scientists and volunteers often gather to observe and count them, noting their vital role in coastal ecosystem. Each female may lay tens of thousands of eggs, which provide food for migratory shorebirds like the red knot. The anatomy of horseshoe crabs is a marvel of survival. Their hard exoskeleton protects them from predators, while their long spiked tails help them right themselves if flipped. Despite their name, they are more closely related to spiders and scorpions than to true crabs. This unusual lineage has remained remarkably stable, a sign that their design has been effective for hundreds of millions of years. Horseshoe crabs also possess a unique biological feature that has drawn human attention. Their blue blood contains a substance called limulus amoebocyte lysate, which clots in the presence of bacteria. This property is invaluable for testing medical equipment, vaccines, and injectable drugs for contamination. Each year, hospitals and labs around the world rely on this substance to ensure that treatments are safe for humans. The life of a horseshoe crab is not rapid, but it is enduring. They grow slowly, molting multiple times as they reach maturity. Some individuals live for 20 years or more, though exact ages are difficult to determine in the wild. Their long lives, combined with stable coastal habitats, have allowed the species to persist where many others have vanished. Despite their resilience, horseshoe crabs face modern threats. Coastal development, pollution, and overharvesting for bait and medical use have reduced populations in some areas. Conservation programs now monitor spawning beaches, restrict harvesting, and release crabs back into the water after collecting blood for medical testing. These efforts aim to ensure that this ancient species continues to survive into the next century. The ecological role of horseshoe crabs extends beyond their eggs. As they feed on small invertebrates in the sand, they help cycle nutrients and aerate sediments. Their presence supports the balance of coastal ecosystems, from the microorganisms in the sand to the birds that rely on their eggs during long migrations. Each crab, though small, is a linchpin in a complex web of life. Horseshoe crabs also provide a window into evolutionary history. By comparing fossils to living specimens, scientists have traced how marine animals adapted over hundreds of millions of years. Changes in the size of their shells and the shape of their tails reveal subtle responses to shifting oceans, climate events, and predator pressures. Yet the basic form has remained almost constant, a testament to the strength of an ancient design. Cultural history has also recognized these creatures. Indigenous peoples in Asia and North America once used their shells for tools and ceremonial purposes. Later, European settlers noted their abundance along beaches and sometimes used them as fertilizer or fishing bait. Over time, humans came to value them in science, giving the horseshoe crab a role far beyond its original ecosystem. Observing a horseshoe crab underwater reveals the careful precision of its movements. Legs scrape the sand, antennae probe for food, and the tail swings in slow arcs. Unlike fish that dart or mammals that roam, these crabs live on patience, letting time pass gently while continuing the same behaviors that have sustained their kind for hundreds of millions of years. The survival of horseshoe crabs is a reminder that endurance does not always mean speed or aggression. Their quiet persistence, repeated molting, careful spawning, and defensive design have allowed them to bridge eras that humans can barely imagine. They are survivors of extinction events, climate shifts, and countless changes in the oceans. Among the sands and seaweed under the waves, the horseshoe crabs of today carry the silent legacy of hundreds of millions of years, still moving in ways almost unchanged since the dawn of complex life. Coelacanth. In the deep, shadowed waters off the coast of South Africa, a strange fish glides through the ocean with a motion that seems almost prehistoric. The coelacanth has existed for more than 400 million years, a lineage that predates the dinosaurs and stretches back to the Devonian period. For decades, scientists believed this species had vanished, its story preserved only in fossils, until a living specimen was discovered off the east coast of South Africa in 1938. The discovery stunned the scientific world. Marjorie Courtney Latimer, a museum curator in East London, noticed a strange blue fish among a local catch. Its lobe-finned limbs and thick scales were unlike any modern fish, and experts quickly identified it as a coelacanth. This single finding proved that a lineage thought extinct for millions of years was still alive, hiding in the deep ocean beyond human reach. Coelacanths inhabit steep underwater caves and volcanic slopes, usually between 150 and 700 meters deep. These environments provide darkness, stability, and shelter from predators. Scientists studying their behavior with submersibles have noted a slow, deliberate swimming style. Their paired fins move almost like limbs, hinting at the evolutionary transition from fish to the first land-dwelling vertebrates. The anatomy of the coelacanth is a window into a forgotten world. Its lobe fins contain bones that resemble the limb structures of early tetrapods. The fish's tail is unique, with an additional lobe extending beyond the main fin, giving it a three-part shape. A hinged skull allows the mouth to open wide, while a rostral organ in its snout senses electrical signals in the water, helping it detect prey in darkness. This organ allows the coelacanth to detect even the faintest movements of prey in total darkness, giving it a remarkable edge in its deep-sea environment. Coelacanths grow slowly and live long lives, with some individuals estimated to exceed 60 years. They reproduce infrequently, giving birth to live young rather than laying eggs, which is unusual among fish. These traits make the species highly vulnerable to fishing, but they have survived centuries in regions where humans rarely venture. Their hidden lives, far below the waves, are a testament to the endurance of ancient designs. Fossil records show that coelacanths were once widespread, inhabiting shallow seas around the world. Climate changes, continental shifts, and mass extinctions greatly reduced their numbers, confining them to isolated pockets in the deep ocean. Today, two distinct species are known: Latimeria chalumnae, found in the Comoros and nearby coasts, and Latimeria menadoensis, discovered off Indonesia in 1997. Watching coelacanths in their natural habitat is no easy task. Deep-sea submersibles and remote cameras have allowed scientists to capture rare footage of their movements. The fish drift with subtle undulations, pausing to hover near rocky ledges, a pattern that seems almost meditative. Each sighting reveals more about a lineage that has endured far longer than human civilization. The survival of coelacanths is not only biological but also ecological. Their slow pace and low reproductive rate suit the deep-sea environment, where food is scarce and conditions remain relatively stable. They feed mainly on smaller fish and cephalopods, striking with precision rather than speed. These habits have allowed them to persist while countless other species vanished. Coelacanths have become symbols of scientific discovery and the unknown reaches of the ocean. Their rediscovery sparked renewed interest in deep-sea research and the ways ancient species can survive in isolation. Museums, documentaries, and research programs around the world celebrate their story, reminding us that the past often lives quietly alongside the present. While largely unseen, coelacanths face modern threats. Deep-sea trawling, habitat disruption, and climate change put pressure on populations that have survived for hundreds of millions of years. Conservation efforts focus on marine reserves and careful monitoring, ensuring that these living fossils continue to navigate their dark underwater world. Every observation of a coelacanth challenges assumptions about extinction and survival. The fish's movements, anatomy, and behavior are evidence of a lineage that has withstood environmental upheaval, predators, and the passage of geological time. Scientists continue to study these creatures, hoping to uncover secrets about evolution and resilience that no fossil alone could reveal. In the quiet darkness of the deep ocean, the coelacanth drifts as it has for hundreds of millions of years, a living connection to a world long vanished. Nautilus. Beneath the turquoise waters of the Indo-Pacific, the Nautilus drifts gracefully through coral reefs and deep slopes. Its coiled shell glimmers in the filtered sunlight, each chamber a marvel of geometry and survival. This ancient cephalopod has existed for over 500 million years, long before the first trees or dinosaurs appeared. Fossils show that its shape and structure have changed very little, making it a true living fossil of the ocean. Unlike most modern cephalopods, the Nautilus does not rely on speed or camouflage to survive. Its soft body is protected by a sturdy external shell, which allows it to retreat safely when threatened. The shell is divided into chambers that the Nautilus can fill with gas or liquid, controlling its buoyancy and enabling slow, deliberate movement through the water. This simple yet effective design has allowed the species to survive major extinction events that wiped out countless other marine creatures. The Nautilus is a nocturnal hunter, emerging from its deep hiding places at night to feed. It preys on small fish, crustaceans, and carrion, using its numerous tentacles to grasp food with remarkable precision. These tentacles lack suckers, unlike modern octopuses or squids, but are sticky and highly sensitive. Observers often note the slow, methodical manner in which the Nautilus approaches prey, reflecting a survival strategy shaped by hundreds of millions of years. Its simple eyes, though lacking a lens like modern cephalopods, can detect changes in light and movement, helping it sense predators and navigate the dim ocean depths. Reproduction in the Nautilus is slow and deliberate. Males deposit spermatophores onto females, and fertilized eggs develop externally, taking up to a year to hatch. Young nautiluses emerge fully formed, tiny versions of adults, and must immediately navigate the dangers of deep ocean currents and predators. This long development period, combined with a long lifespan of up to 20 years, contributes to the stability of their populations in isolated habitats. The shell itself tells a story of time. Scientists study the growth lines on each chamber to determine age and environmental history. Variations in shell structure record changes in water temperature, chemistry, and depth over the years. In this way, a single Nautilus serves as a living record of the ocean's subtle shifts, linking the present to an ancient past. Nautiluses are mostly found around islands like Palau, Fiji, and parts of the Philippines. They dwell at depths ranging from 100 to 500 meters, often retreating to dark crevices during daylight hours. Submersibles and deep-sea cameras have allowed researchers to observe their natural behavior, revealing patterns of migration, feeding, and social interaction that were previously unknown. Despite being slow and cautious, these animals have endured when many faster or more aggressive species disappeared. Human activity has placed pressure on Nautilus populations. Their beautifully patterned shells are highly valued in jewelry and decorative crafts, leading to overharvesting in some regions. Conservationists now monitor catches and advocate for sustainable practices, aiming to preserve these ancient creatures for future generations. The Nautilus serves as a reminder that even species that have survived hundreds of millions of years are vulnerable to sudden change. Additionally, the Nautilus provides insight into the evolution of cephalopods. Unlike squids and octopuses, which evolved complex behaviors and rapid movement, the Nautilus retains features from a much earlier era. Its simple nervous system, reliance on buoyancy for movement, and external shell illustrate the contrast between ancient and modern marine survival strategies. This contrast fascinates scientists studying the evolutionary pathways of ocean life. Seeing a Nautilus in the wild is a rare and quiet experience. Slowly rising from crevices or gliding near the reef, it moves with an almost meditative rhythm. Its shell reflects faint sunlight in a spiral that has remained consistent for hundreds of millions of years, a living echo of oceans long vanished. Through all this time, the Nautilus has survived global changes, shifts in sea level, and the rise of new predators. Its continued presence is a testament to a simple, effective design perfected through eons. Each chambered shell, each cautious movement, speaks of endurance in a world of constant change. Within the stillness of the deep, the Nautilus drifts in spirals that have repeated across millions of years, quietly preserving the secrets of an ancient ocean. Tuatara. On the windswept offshore islands of New Zealand, the Tuatara moves silently beneath low shrubs and rocky outcrops. Its spiny back catches the light as it navigates a landscape largely untouched by humans. This reptile is the last surviving member of the order Rhynchocephalia, a group that thrived during the age of the dinosaurs, over 200 million years ago. Fossils show that its ancestors once lived across much of the world, yet today the Tuatara exists only in isolated pockets, a living relic of a bygone era. The Tuatara's appearance is deceptively simple. It has a robust, lizard-like body covered in rough, green-brown scales. A row of spines runs along its back, more pronounced in males, giving it a distinctive silhouette. Its skull and jaw structure are unique among reptiles, retaining primitive features that link it directly to ancient ancestors. These adaptations have remained largely unchanged, highlighting a lineage that has resisted major evolutionary alterations. Unlike most reptiles, Tuataras are mainly active at night and during cool periods. Their temperature tolerance is lower than that of lizards, and they thrive in the moderate climates of New Zealand's offshore islands. During the day, they often retreat to burrows, many of which they share with seabirds. These burrows offer protection from predators and extreme weather, while providing access to insects and small vertebrates that make up their diet. Tuatara reproduction is slow and carefully timed. Mating occurs during the cooler months, and females lay eggs in deep, sandy burrows. The eggs take approximately 12 to 15 months to hatch, one of the longest incubation periods among reptiles. Hatchlings emerge, ready to face predators and forage for food immediately. This extended developmental period, combined with the species' slow growth, contributes to its vulnerability, but has also helped maintain its evolutionary stability over millions of years. The Tuatara possesses a third eye on the top of its head, a small photoreceptive organ hidden beneath scales. This eye does not form images, but can detect changes in light, helping the reptile regulate daily and seasonal rhythms. Scientists believe it may also play a role in hormone production, influencing growth and reproduction. Such an ancient sensory system links the Tuatara to its distant ancestors and offers a glimpse into the biology of early reptiles. Diet and feeding strategies reflect the Tuatara's patient nature. It primarily hunts insects, spiders, and small lizards, waiting quietly for prey to approach. Its sharp teeth and strong jaws allow it to grasp and crush food efficiently. Occasionally, Tuataras consume seabird eggs or hatchlings, taking advantage of seasonal opportunities. These feeding habits have remained effective for millions of years, allowing the species to persist despite environmental changes. Conservation efforts have been crucial to the Tuatara's survival. Introduced predators like rats once decimated populations on the mainland, restricting Tuataras to predator-free islands. Modern programs involve relocating individuals to protected areas and monitoring breeding success. Captive breeding programs have also helped bolster numbers, ensuring that this ancient lineage continues to survive in the modern world. Researchers studying Tuataras are often struck by their longevity. Some individuals have been documented living over 100 years, growing slowly and reproducing for much of their lives. Their slow metabolism and low activity levels are linked to a life strategy that has allowed a primitive lineage to endure while countless others disappeared. Observing a Tuatara provides insight into how evolution can favor stability and resilience over rapid change. Tuatara behavior reveals subtle intelligence and adaptation. They communicate using head bobs, color patterns, and body posture. During breeding season, males defend territories and engage in ritualized displays rather than aggressive fights. Social interactions are quiet but effective, reflecting survival strategies that have been refined over hundreds of millions of years. Fossil evidence shows that Tuataras once coexisted with dinosaurs and early mammals, Their persistence offers scientists a rare opportunity to study an evolutionary lineage largely untouched by modern pressures until recent centuries. Each living tuatara is a link to a distant past, embodying traits honed through epochs of environmental change. The tuatara's continued existence depends on careful protection, yet it remains a creature of quiet mystery, moving through shadowed burrows and rocky crevices, as it has for millions of years. Crocodilians. Along the slow-moving rivers and swamps of Africa, Australia, and the Americas, crocodilians lie motionless, barely disturbing the surface of the water. These predators have existed in some form for more than 200 million years, outliving dinosaurs and countless other species. Fossil records reveal that ancient relatives of today's crocodiles, alligators, and gharials shared many of the same physical traits, making modern crocodilians living echoes of prehistoric ecosystems. Crocodilians are built for survival. Their muscular bodies are covered in tough, armored scales that protect against attacks. Powerful jaws lined with sharp teeth allow them to seize prey with terrifying efficiency. Their eyes and nostrils are positioned on top of the head, letting them breathe and watch for prey while keeping most of their bodies submerged. These features have changed little over millions of years, demonstrating a form perfected by evolution. Behaviorally, crocodilians are surprisingly complex. They communicate through vocalizations, body postures, and water slaps that signal territory or attract mates. Courtship rituals often involve synchronized movements and calls, especially among species like the American alligator. Mothers show unusual care by guarding nests and even assisting hatchlings to water. Such behaviors reveal intelligence and social structure often overlooked in these ancient predators. Rather than relying on speed, crocodilians are patient hunters. Using stealth and timing, they ambush fish, birds, and mammals, striking with explosive power when prey ventures too close. Some species can survive long periods without food, conserving energy until the perfect opportunity arises. This adaptability has helped crocodilians endure dramatic climate shifts and environmental changes through deep time. Their skin contains tiny sensory organs that can detect water pressure and movement, allowing them to sense prey even in complete darkness. Reproduction is slow but strategic. Females build nests of vegetation and soil, and temperature plays a role in determining the sex of hatchlings. Incubation can last several months, and hatchlings face immediate threats from predators. Despite high mortality rates among young crocodilians, enough survive to maintain populations, a testament to the species' resilience and evolutionary design. Inhabiting a range of habitats, crocodilians thrive in tropical rivers, freshwater swamps, and brackish estuaries. Saltwater crocodiles, for instance, can travel long distances across the ocean, a rare ability among reptiles. Their physiological adaptations allow them to tolerate salt water, while freshwater species remain tied to rivers and wetlands. These environmental strategies demonstrate the versatility that has helped crocodilians persist across continents. Research into crocodilian physiology reveals more evolutionary marvels. Their hearts have a four-chambered structure, more like birds than most reptiles, allowing efficient oxygenation during dives. Some species can slow their metabolism dramatically, conserving oxygen and energy underwater. These traits have supported survival in fluctuating climates, contributing to the group's remarkable longevity in the fossil record. The fossil history of crocodilians is filled with enormous species, some exceeding 12 meters in length. While modern species are smaller, they retain many features of these giant ancestors. Studying fossilized skulls and skeletons has helped scientists understand how crocodilians adapted to new ecosystems after mass extinctions, showing a pattern of stability combined with occasional innovation. Human interaction with crocodilians has been both threatening and protective. Habitat loss, hunting, and pollution have endangered some populations, yet conservation programs have succeeded in restoring numbers for species like the American alligator. Crocodilian skins are commercially valuable, but managed programs now balance economic use with species survival. These efforts ensure that these ancient animals continue to thrive in their natural habitats. Observation of crocodilians in the wild is a slow but revealing experience. They float silently, barely rippling the water, and yet their presence dominates the ecosystem. Every movement, from a tail flick to a jaw snap, reflects millions of years of adaptation and refinement. Witnessing these behaviors provides a direct link to a past when crocodilian ancestors roamed alongside dinosaurs. Over millennia, crocodilians have endured asteroid impacts, volcanic upheavals, and ice ages. Their survival demonstrates a remarkable combination of physical, behavioral, and ecological strategies that few species have matched. Even as the world changes around them, they remain largely unchanged, a bridge between the age of dinosaurs and the present. Below the waterline, the crocodilian waits with a patience that stretches back through hundreds of millions of years, holding the secrets of an ancient world in every deliberate movement. Sturgeon. Through the currents of the Caspian and Black Seas and the great rivers of Europe and North America, sturgeon move with quiet strength. These fish have existed for more than 200 million years, tracing back to a time before dinosaurs dominated the Earth. Fossil evidence shows that early sturgeon already had many of the same features as their modern descendants, making them living witnesses to ancient aquatic worlds. Sturgeon are unmistakable in appearance. Their elongated bodies are covered in bony plates called scutes, which offer protection from predators. Their snouts are pointed and flexible, equipped with sensory barbels that detect prey along the riverbed. Unlike most modern fish, sturgeon possess a heterocercal tail, where the upper lobe is longer than the lower, providing lift and power as they navigate deep or fast-flowing waters. Their feeding behavior is specialized and precise. Sturgeon sift through sediment using their sensitive barbels and protrusible mouths, searching for small fish, insects, and crustaceans. Their sense of taste is finely tuned, allowing them to distinguish edible items from inedible debris on the river floor. Scientists studying sturgeon note that their methodical, patient approach to feeding is a trait that has remained effective for millions of years. Reproduction in sturgeon is slow and deliberate. Many species do not reach sexual maturity until they are 15 to 20 years old. Females release large numbers of eggs in specific freshwater spawning grounds, often migrating hundreds of kilometers from their feeding areas. The long intervals between spawning and the slow growth of young fish make sturgeon vulnerable to environmental changes and human activity. Yet this strategy has sustained the species for ages. Having survived enormous climate shifts and geological turmoil, sturgeon remain today. During glacial cycles, populations retreated to protected river refuges, only to expand once conditions stabilized. Their ability to adapt to both freshwater and brackish environments has allowed them to persist, while many other fish lineages have disappeared. These ecological strategies reveal the resilience that has kept sturgeon in the world's waters for over 2 centuries and millions of years. The sensory capabilities of sturgeon are remarkable. Barbels on their snouts act as highly sensitive detectors, helping them locate food in dark or murky water. Additionally, their bodies contain electroreceptors that pick up weak electrical signals emitted by prey. These adaptations make sturgeon efficient hunters, even in conditions where vision is limited, giving them an evolutionary advantage that has remained unchanged for eons. Human impact has increasingly shaped the modern history of sturgeon. Overfishing for meat and caviar has severely reduced populations in many rivers. Dams and habitat destruction block access to spawning grounds, further threatening survival. Conservation efforts, including breeding programs and the establishment of protected areas, aim to safeguard these ancient fish for future generations. Scientists and environmentalists closely monitor populations, knowing that sturgeon are more than food, they are living relics of prehistoric ecosystems. With each movement, sturgeon display both grace and intention. They can traverse hundreds of kilometers along river systems, navigating currents and obstacles with skill. Their muscles and fins are adapted for slow, sustained swimming, making long-distance migrations possible without expending excessive energy. These journeys are critical for reproduction and maintaining genetic diversity among populations. The sturgeon's role in aquatic ecosystems is significant. By feeding along riverbeds, they influence sediment distribution and nutrient cycling. Their presence affects the populations of smaller fish and invertebrates, shaping the overall health of freshwater systems. Studying sturgeon in the wild provides insight into how ancient species maintain balance within ecosystems that have undergone dramatic change. Fossil evidence shows that sturgeon have changed very little over millions of years. Early relatives already displayed the characteristic bony plates, elongated bodies, and specialized feeding structures seen today. This evolutionary stability demonstrates that their design is highly effective and has allowed sturgeon to endure environmental pressures that wiped out countless other species. Modern sturgeon continue to fascinate scientists and enthusiasts alike. Observing these fish in rivers or protected areas is a glimpse into a world that existed long before humans appeared. Each sturgeon carries within it the legacy of an ancient lineage that has survived asteroid impacts, ice ages, and shifting continents, silently gliding beneath the flowing rivers. The sturgeon connects us to waters that have seen civilizations and species rise and fall across hundreds of millions of years. Lamprey. In the quiet rivers and coastal waters of North America and Europe, lampreys slither with an eerie, almost alien motion. These jawless fish have existed for more than 360 million years, making them one of the oldest vertebrate lineages still alive. Fossil records show lampreys already had the distinctive circular mouth and elongated body during the Devonian period. Long before the first sharks appeared, lampreys are immediately recognizable by their round, sucker-like mouths filled with rows of sharp keratinized teeth. They attach to other fish to feed on blood and body fluids, a method that has remained largely unchanged over hundreds of millions of years. Their bodies are eel-like, lacking paired fins, and their flexible muscular structure allows them to navigate strong currents and cling to hosts. The feeding habits of lampreys are both fascinating and formidable. They use their teeth to rasp through scales and skin, creating a steady flow of blood to sustain themselves. While some lampreys are parasitic as adults, others live their entire life in freshwater and do not feed after metamorphosis. This diversity in feeding strategies has allowed the species to occupy a variety of ecological niches throughout history. Reproduction in lampreys is an intense and brief spectacle. Adults migrate upstream to lay eggs in gravel nests in fast-flowing rivers. After spawning, most adults die within a few weeks, leaving the young to grow in riverbeds for several years before undergoing metamorphosis. The long larval phase, sometimes lasting up to 7 years, is a key survival strategy that has kept lamprey populations resilient through dramatic environmental changes. Highly specialized sensory systems characterize lampreys. They possess an array of light-sensitive cells and a lateral line system that detects vibrations in water, helping them locate prey and navigate murky environments. Some species have primitive eyes that are surprisingly effective at detecting movement, showing how ancient adaptations continue to serve them well in modern ecosystems. Historical accounts reveal the impact of lampreys on human societies. In the Middle Ages, lampreys were considered a delicacy by European royalty, especially in France and England. Kings such as Henry I of England famously consumed them in large quantities. Today, lampreys are less valued as food, but their influence on fishing practices and river management is still evident. The study of lampreys has also informed important scientific discoveries. Their simple but effective nervous systems make them ideal models for studying vertebrate development and neurobiology. Researchers have examined the spinal cord and nerve structures of lampreys to understand how vertebrate nervous systems evolved. This ongoing research continues to highlight the lamprey's value beyond its ecological role. Though they trace back to an ancient lineage, lampreys face modern challenges. Dams, pollution, and habitat degradation have restricted access to traditional spawning grounds. Invasive species and overfishing of host fish populations also threaten parasitic lamprey survival. Conservation programs in the United States and Europe focus on habitat restoration and population monitoring to ensure these living fossils continue to thrive. Migration is central to the lamprey's life cycle. Many species move hundreds of kilometers between feeding and spawning areas, navigating rivers that have shifted courses over centuries. Their muscular bodies and strong suction abilities allow them to cling to rocks and other surfaces while resisting strong currents. These migrations are vital for reproduction and maintaining genetic diversity across populations. In the rivers they inhabit, lampreys exert a subtle but important influence. By preying on other fish, they regulate populations and affect the flow of energy through aquatic food webs. Their presence can indicate the health of freshwater ecosystems, as their survival depends on clean, well-oxygenated water, and stable habitats. Studying lampreys today offers a window into rivers, as they may have existed millions of years ago. Fossil evidence confirms that lampreys have remained remarkably consistent over geological time. Early specimens from the Carboniferous period already resemble modern lampreys, with the same body structure and mouth, adapted for parasitic feeding. This evolutionary stability underscores the effectiveness of their simple, specialized design, and explains why lampreys have persisted while countless other fish species have vanished. To observe lampreys in their habitats is to witness a living piece of ancient history. Their slow, deliberate movements and unique biology remind us that some life forms have survived cataclysmic events and environmental changes that erased entire lineages. Lampreys are not just survivors, they are living evidence of vertebrate history stretching back hundreds of millions of years. Every twist and turn in the river carries a creature whose story began hundreds of millions of years ago. Immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii, far beneath the surface of oceans around the world, a tiny, translucent creature drifts almost unnoticed. The immortal jellyfish, known scientifically as Turritopsis dohrnii, is unlike any other animal alive today. Found in waters from the Mediterranean Sea to the coasts of Japan, this jellyfish has drawn the attention of scientists because of its unusual ability to reverse its life cycle and, in a sense, avoid death. Unlike most animals that grow, reproduce, and die, the immortal jellyfish can transform its adult cells back into a juvenile state. When faced with physical damage, starvation, or environmental stress, it contracts into a ball-like form known as a cyst. From there, it reverts to its polyp stage, essentially starting its life over. This biological trick allows the species to sidestep the normal limits of aging and has earned it the nickname immortal. The process of transformation is called transdifferentiation. In simple terms, specialized cells in the jellyfish change into other types of cells, allowing the body to rebuild itself from a simpler stage. Researchers have observed this remarkable ability in laboratory conditions, but much remains unknown about how often it occurs in the wild. Even a small specimen can perform this transformation multiple times, giving it a potential for endless renewal. Turritopsis dohrnii is small, usually no larger than a fingertip, yet its impact on our understanding of life is enormous. Its bell is transparent and shaped like a tiny umbrella, with delicate tentacles trailing below. Despite its size, the jellyfish plays a role in the marine ecosystem, feeding on plankton and serving as prey for larger fish. Its survival strategies are as extraordinary as its biology. The history of its discovery reveals how recent our knowledge is. The species was first described in the Mediterranean in 1883, but its unique regenerative abilities were not widely recognized until the 1992. Scientists studying populations in the Caribbean noticed specimens seemingly avoiding death, prompting further laboratory studies. These observations challenged traditional ideas about the limits of life in multicellular organisms. Its life cycle begins like any other jellyfish. Larvae settle onto a surface and grow into polyps, which can bud off new jellyfish called medusae. The medusa stage is the one most people recognize, with the bell and tentacles floating gracefully in the water. What sets this species apart is that the adult medusa can revert to the polyp stage when conditions are threatening, effectively turning back the biological clock. While it is called immortal, the jellyfish is not invulnerable. Predators, disease, and changing environmental conditions can still end its life. Nevertheless, its ability to reset its development is unparalleled among known animals. Researchers hope that studying the cellular mechanisms behind transdifferentiation could one day reveal insights into human medicine, tissue regeneration, and aging. The jellyfish's movements are mesmerizing, almost hypnotic. It pulses through water with a gentle rhythm, drifting with the currents, unaware of its place in time. For an observer, it seems like a creature suspended between life and renewal, repeating a cycle that could, theoretically, continue indefinitely. This strange rhythm mirrors the delicate balance between survival and mortality in the ocean. Scientists have begun sequencing the genome of Turritopsis dohrnii to understand the genes responsible for its immortality. Early studies suggest that certain molecular pathways, similar to those in other animals, are repurposed to allow cell reversal. These findings may help explain how the jellyfish evolved this ability and how it has persisted despite millions of years of oceanic change. Human fascination with immortality has always been profound, but the immortal jellyfish provides a rare glimpse at a natural version of this dream. It raises fundamental questions about aging, the definition of death, and the limits of biological life. While we cannot yet fully harness or replicate its abilities, the jellyfish demonstrates that nature has already solved puzzles that have long intrigued humankind. Spotting Turritopsis dohrnii in the wild is no easy task. Its small size and transparent body make it difficult to track, and ocean currents scatter individuals across vast areas. Yet even the brief glimpses captured by divers and researchers show a creature that defies conventional life cycles. Each specimen represents a thread connecting ancient oceans to the modern world, a living experiment in renewal and survival. The immortal jellyfish floats, a delicate marvel of biology, carrying within its simple body a secret of endurance and transformation that has persisted far longer than human history. Red sea urchin, the rocky seafloor off the coast of California, is a quiet, shadowy world where sunlight barely reaches and the water moves with a slow, deliberate rhythm. Among the jagged stones and swaying kelp, the red sea urchin clings firmly with its tube-like feet, a small, spiny sentinel of the underwater forest. Divers often describe the first sight of one as striking, a vibrant crimson ball covered in long, sharp spines that sway slightly with the currents. For centuries, these urchins have survived in the same territories, their slow movements masking a life that can span decades, even over a century. In the colder waters of the Pacific, red sea urchins feed methodically on kelp, scraping surfaces with their specialized mouthparts called Aristotle's lantern. This grazing shapes the structure of entire kelp forests. Scientists have noted that areas abundant with urchins can dramatically alter the density and growth of kelp, creating open patches or urchin barrens where few other organisms thrive. It is in this quiet labor that the urchin exerts influence far beyond its size, a slow but persistent engineer of its ecosystem. Marine biologists recount that red sea urchins can live for remarkably long periods, with some individuals estimated to exceed 200 years. Unlike most creatures, they do not show obvious signs of aging, and their bodies maintain reproductive and digestive function far longer than expected. Researchers at the University of California have measured growth rings in the urchin's shells, a method similar to counting tree rings, to determine age. Each ring tells a story of winters and summers past, of changing ocean currents and shifting kelp populations. The urchin's spines are not just defensive armor. They are a delicate balance between protection and survival. Divers often describe the sensation of brushing past them as a slight tickle, though a careless touch can leave scratches. These spines host tiny algae and microorganisms, creating miniature ecosystems on their surface. Some researchers have begun studying the urchin's microbiome to understand how these symbiotic relationships contribute to their longevity and resilience in ever-changing waters. Red sea urchins also have cultural and economic significance. Indigenous peoples along the Pacific coast historically harvested their roe for food, valuing it as a rare treat. Today, commercial fisheries collect urchins for the same purpose, though regulations are now in place to prevent overharvesting. Scientists warn that removing too many from a single area can disrupt kelp forests and the myriad species that depend on them, showing how even a slow-moving organism can be vital to an entire marine network. Environmental changes pose new challenges for these ancient creatures. Warming ocean temperatures, pollution, and habitat destruction threaten their habitats and food sources. In some regions, marine protected areas have been established to safeguard both the urchins and the kelp forests they manage. Observations over decades indicate that when left undisturbed, red sea urchins continue to thrive and maintain their ecological role, a testament to their adaptability and endurance. Researchers are fascinated not just by their longevity, but by the mysteries of their reproductive cycles. Red sea urchins release gametes into the water in a synchronized manner, often triggered by moon phases or water temperature. This ancient ritual, repeated countless times over centuries, ensures the survival of the species and maintains genetic diversity. Scientists continue to study these cycles to understand how the urchins have persisted through environmental shifts and predation pressures for hundreds of years. Diving among the kelp forests at dusk, one can often spot clusters of red sea urchins in shadowed crevices. Their spines glint faintly in the dim light, and they move almost imperceptibly, feeding or adjusting position. For those who observe them quietly, it is easy to sense a connection to the deep past. These creatures, shaped by millions of years of evolution, have endured changes that wiped out countless other species. The red sea urchin is a reminder that life in the ocean can endure in ways humans often overlook, quietly shaping its world while surviving against odds that would overwhelm many others. Scientists still uncover secrets about their biology, ecology, and longevity, each finding adding to the story of a species that has witnessed centuries beneath the waves. Under the swaying kelp, the red sea urchin continues its slow, patient existence, holding secrets humans have yet to fully uncover. Giant clam Tridacna, in the turquoise waters of the South Pacific. Sunlight filters down to the coral reefs, where giant clams lie partially buried in sand. Their enormous shells, patterned with ridges and curves, reflect light in dazzling patterns, hinting at the ancient lineage they represent. These clams are not just passive fixtures of the reef. They are living relics from a time long before humans shaped the world. The size of a fully grown Tridacna can be startling. Some reach over 4 feet across and weigh hundreds of pounds, making them the largest bivalves in the ocean. Marine biologists often marvel at their slow growth and remarkable longevity. While most sea creatures live only a few decades, giant clams can survive for over a century, carrying the secrets of coral ecosystems within their shells. Giant clams have a unique way of sustaining themselves. Tiny algae live inside their tissues and provide energy through photosynthesis. The clam opens its shell to the sunlight, allowing the algae to flourish, and in return, the clam absorbs nutrients produced by these microscopic partners. This delicate relationship allows the clams to thrive in nutrient-poor waters where other large organisms might struggle. Their vibrant colors, ranging from greens to blues and purples, are not merely decorative. These colors indicate the presence of symbiotic algae and act as a natural filter for harmful light. Divers often describe the effect as otherworldly, as if the clam itself holds the ocean's energy within its shell. Observing them up close reveals not just a creature, but a living collaboration between species that has endured for millions of years. For centuries, humans have crossed paths with Tridacna, leaving traces of their encounters in history. Ancient Pacific Islanders used their shells as tools and ornaments, while local folklore sometimes depicted the clams as guardians of the reef. Today, conservationists study these interactions to understand how human activity impacts the survival of the species. Overharvesting and habitat loss remain the greatest threats to giant clam populations in many regions. Scientific expeditions often reveal astonishing facts about these creatures. Some giant clams have been found with growth rings that trace back more than 100 years, offering clues about ocean conditions over time. By analyzing these rings, researchers can reconstruct changes in temperature and water chemistry, making Tridacna a natural archive of marine history. The reproductive habits of giant clams are equally fascinating. They are hermaphroditic, producing both eggs and sperm at different times. During mass spawning events, which are synchronized with the lunar cycle, thousands of clams release gametes into the water simultaneously. This strategy increases the chances of successful fertilization and demonstrates the intricate timing that governs life beneath the waves. For all their bulk and seeming power, giant clams are fragile in ways the eye cannot see. Coral bleaching, pollution, and destructive fishing practices put their populations at risk. Scientists have developed breeding programs in aquariums and coastal nurseries to help restore populations, carefully reintroducing juvenile clams into their natural habitats. These efforts highlight the importance of preserving not only individual species, but entire reef ecosystems. Beyond their impressive size, giant clams serve an essential role in marine ecosystems. Their large bodies provide shelter for small fish and invertebrates, creating microhabitats within the reef. By filtering water for nutrients, they help maintain clarity and quality, benefiting the broader marine environment. In this sense, each clam is not just a survivor from the past, but an active participant in the ongoing health of its community. Even their movements, though imperceptibly slow, tell a story. Tiny siphons open and close rhythmically, drawing water in to feed and breathe. Through these subtle motions, the clam interacts with its surroundings, a gentle reminder of the hidden life occurring in every reef crevice. Observers often note the calm presence of Tridacna, a quiet but persistent force shaping the waters around it. Modern technology has allowed scientists to study Tridacna in ways previously impossible. Underwater cameras and remote sensors capture their growth, feeding patterns, and interactions with other species. Each observation adds layers to our understanding, revealing a creature that is both ancient and highly adapted to the present. Some giant clams have lived through historical events, from European exploration to modern environmental change. Each one is a living witness to centuries of shifting oceans and human influence. Their longevity and resilience provide insight into the power of adaptation and the fragility of life in changing seas. Among drifting sands and swaying corals, the giant clam rests, an ancient witness to the rhythms of the sea. Horseshoe worms, Foronida. Horseshoe worms were first noticed by scientists because of their unusual larval form, called an actinotroch. Unlike most marine worms, these tiny larvae drift for weeks in the open ocean before settling on the seafloor. This stage fascinated early naturalists in the 19th century, who struggled to connect the drifting larva to the adult worm, buried in tubes beneath sand and mud. Many thought the larvae were entirely different creatures, until careful observation revealed their transformation. The adult horseshoe worm lives in a delicate chitinous tube, often hidden just beneath the sediment. Only its crown of feathery tentacles, arranged in a horseshoe shape, emerges to filter microscopic plankton from the water. These tentacles move constantly, creating subtle currents that sweep food toward the worm's mouth. Despite their small size, the tentacles' motion plays a quiet but vital role in local ecosystems, helping cycle nutrients along the ocean floor. Phoronids are found in many oceans, from shallow coastal waters to depths of over 100 meters. Some species prefer calm bays, while others cling to rocks or shells in stronger currents. Their distribution puzzled scientists for decades, as seemingly identical species appeared thousands of kilometers apart. Modern genetic studies now reveal hidden diversity within the group, showing that horseshoe worms are more widespread and varied than previously thought. The worm's tube-building behavior is particularly fascinating. They secrete a sturdy but flexible tube from their epidermis, anchoring themselves to the sediment. These tubes protect the worms from predators like crabs and small fish. When disturbed, the worm quickly retracts into its tube, leaving only the feathery crown exposed to sense changes in the water. This adaptation allows them to survive in environments that shift with tides and storms. Like delicate instruments of the sea, horseshoe worms register the faintest tremors of their world. Their tentacles can detect slight changes in water temperature, salinity, and chemical composition. This allows them to respond quickly to shifts in tides or the presence of nearby predators. Some species even adjust the density of their tube walls in response to sediment movement, making their homes sturdier during storms. These adaptations highlight how finely tuned phoronids are to their delicate seafloor habitats. The reproductive habits of horseshoe worms are as unusual as the creatures themselves. Many species release eggs and sperm into the water, where fertilization occurs externally. The resulting larvae drift until they find a suitable spot to attach and grow their protective tube. Some species can also reproduce asexually, splitting their bodies to create new individuals. This combination of reproductive strategies may explain how these worms persisted through long stretches of evolutionary history. Researchers are also intrigued by the worms' role in their habitats. By building dense colonies, they stabilize sediments and create microenvironments for other small creatures. Tiny crustaceans, worms, and even juvenile fish may shelter near horseshoe worm tubes. In this sense, the worms act as ecosystem engineers, quietly shaping the seafloor while most attention goes to more visible species. Recent studies suggest that horseshoe worms may also play a role in filtering microplastics from the ocean. As their tentacles sweep plankton from the water, small particles, including tiny fragments of plastic, are trapped and sometimes ingested. While this is not a perfect solution to pollution, it shows that even small, hidden animals contribute to maintaining water quality. Understanding this behavior could help scientists gauge the health of coastal ecosystems where phoronids are abundant. For all their ecological significance, horseshoe worms continue to elude detailed study. Their fragile bodies and hidden lifestyle make collecting specimens a challenge. Scientists often rely on careful dredging or underwater photography to observe them in place. These efforts have revealed surprising behaviors, including rapid tentacle movements when plankton density changes and coordinated responses when predators approach. The evolutionary story of phoronids is equally compelling. Fossil evidence suggests that their ancestors may date back hundreds of millions of years, but their soft bodies rarely fossilize. By comparing genetic sequences with other marine worms, scientists are piecing together their ancient lineage. This research hints that horseshoe worms occupy a key position in the tree of life, bridging gaps between simple worms and more complex animals. Unassuming and hidden from plain sight, horseshoe worms reveal a tale of survival, discovery, and subtle influence. From the drifting larvae to the adults anchoring the seafloor, they have adapted to thrive in ways few observers notice. Their delicate tubes and graceful tentacles conceal a remarkable history of persistence and ecological contribution. And somewhere, beneath a shifting tide, a tiny crown of feathery tentacles continues its quiet work, connecting the past of the oceans to the present. Copepods. Tiny yet unstoppable, copepods drift in vast numbers across oceans and freshwater lakes, forming an unseen world beneath the waves. Their translucent bodies glimmer when sunlight filters through the water, revealing legs that beat rhythmically to propel them in graceful, jerky motions. Despite their size, often less than a few millimeters, they shape entire aquatic ecosystems and influence the lives of countless other species. Observing a single copepod under a microscope is to witness a miniature marvel that has persisted for hundreds of millions of years. Copepods are remarkably diverse, with thousands of species adapted to almost every watery environment on Earth. Some cling to seaweed or coral, while others roam the open sea carried by currents. Certain species even inhabit brackish estuaries or high-altitude lakes. This adaptability has allowed copepods to endure dramatic changes in climate and geography, maintaining a vital presence from polar waters to tropical seas. Their survival demonstrates a resilience that connects modern oceans to deep time. These tiny creatures are the engines of aquatic food chains. Fish, whales, and even seabirds rely on copepods as a primary food source. Large schools of anchovies in the Pacific often appear precisely where copepod populations are densest, revealing an intricate connection between predator and prey. Researchers studying the feeding habits of young salmon in Alaska found that copepods contribute to early growth stages, influencing survival rates and the stability of fisheries. Abundant yet elusive, copepods move through their world with a subtle, almost invisible cunning. Many species exhibit vertical migration, descending to darker depths during the day and rising at night to feed near the surface. This behavior protects them from visual predators while allowing access to nutrient-rich waters. Their ability to detect subtle vibrations and chemical cues in water makes them highly responsive to threats, emphasizing that even the smallest animals have sophisticated survival skills. Hidden from view, copepods orchestrate the rhythms of the ocean, like tiny, diligent engineers. As they feed on phytoplankton, they release nutrients back into the water, supporting algal growth and maintaining a delicate balance in marine chemistry. Their movements create microcurrents that distribute oxygen and particles, subtly influencing the environment around them. Scientists have measured how copepod swarms affect carbon cycling, linking these tiny animals to global climate processes in ways previously unimagined. New findings reveal that these tiny creatures can steer the path of microplastics in the seas. By feeding and moving through water, they inadvertently transport tiny plastic particles, which may accumulate in larger predators that rely on them as food. This role links copepods to a pressing environmental issue, showing that even the smallest creatures can affect the fate of pollutants on a global scale. Reproduction in copepods is rapid and complex. Many species produce eggs that hatch into larvae, which grow through multiple stages before reaching adulthood. Some copepods carry their eggs in external sacs, while others release them directly into the water. This reproductive flexibility allows populations to rebound quickly after environmental stress, explaining their dominance in nearly every aquatic habitat. Observing copepod development under controlled conditions reveals a life cycle, both delicate and remarkably efficient. Small yet influential, copepods leave their mark on both human health and industry. Certain species act as intermediate hosts for parasites that affect fish, and in rare cases, humans. Understanding these interactions helps fisheries and public health officials manage risks. In aquaculture, copepods are cultivated as live feed for larval fish, providing nutrition critical for sustainable fish farming. Their influence, both ecological and practical, extends far beyond their diminutive size. Serving as living barometers, copepods indicate the well-being of their ecosystems. Scientists monitor their populations to assess water quality and detect changes in nutrient levels or pollution. Shifts in copepod abundance can warn researchers of potential ecological disruptions, making these tiny animals crucial for both scientific study and conservation efforts. Scientists continue to discover surprising facets of copepod biology. Some species can survive extreme temperatures or low oxygen conditions, adapting in ways that suggest resilience against future climate change. Others have bioluminescent organs, producing faint glows that may help evade predators or attract mates. Each discovery deepens the sense that copepods, though tiny, are endlessly complex and vital to life in water. These seemingly invisible animals carry the stories of oceans across eons, shaping food webs, nutrient cycles, and ecosystems in quiet yet powerful ways that few other creatures can match. Sea scallop. The first time someone sees a sea scallop in its natural habitat, it is easy to be captivated by the way its shell catches the light. Off the coast of New England, scallops lie scattered across sandy ocean floors, their shells partially buried and occasionally shifting with the current. The patterns on each shell are unique, like fingerprints, and their delicate ridges reflect decades of growth and environmental change. Observing them closely reveals not just their beauty, but also their role in the rhythm of life beneath the waves. Sea scallops are not just passive dwellers of the ocean floor, they are swimmers in their own right. Unlike many bivalves, they can propel themselves by clapping their shells together. This movement creates a sudden jet of water, allowing the scallop to leap away from predators such as starfish or crabs. Scientists have measured the force and precision of these movements, discovering that even small scallops can cover impressive distances for their size, a remarkable adaptation for survival. The anatomy of a sea scallop is as fascinating as its movement. Inside the shell, a strong adductor muscle holds the two halves tightly closed. This muscle is what people taste in restaurants, known as the scallop meat. Beneath the muscle lies the scallop's delicate organs, including a pair of bright blue eyes that line the edge of the mantle. These eyes can detect changes in light and motion, allowing the scallop to sense approaching threats with astonishing speed, despite its slow lifestyle on the ocean floor. Growth in sea scallops can tell a story of the ocean itself. By examining the rings on their shells, researchers can determine age, much like counting the rings of a tree. Some scallops off the coast of Canada have been found to live more than 20 years, growing steadily in the cold waters. Changes in ring thickness often indicate environmental conditions such as water temperature, nutrient levels, and seasonal shifts. Each shell preserves a record of the ocean's past, a living archive beneath the waves. Equally fascinating is the way they reproduce. Sea scallops are hermaphroditic, possessing both male and female organs, but they usually function as one sex at a time. In the spring, mature scallops release sperm and eggs into the water, relying on currents to carry gametes to other individuals. Fertilized eggs develop into free-swimming larvae that drift for several weeks before settling on the ocean floor. This process allows populations to spread across wide areas, maintaining genetic diversity and resilience in unpredictable marine environments. The timing of spawning is often synchronized across populations to maximize fertilization success. Additionally, scallops can respond to environmental cues such as water temperature and moon cycles, which influence when they release gametes. Throughout the ages, sea scallops have held a quiet but enduring connection to humanity. Indigenous peoples along the Atlantic coast harvested scallops for food, leaving behind shells as evidence of their presence. In modern times, scallop fisheries have grown into significant industries, particularly in the United States and Canada. Harvesting practices have evolved to protect populations, with regulations on size limits, seasonal closures, and sustainable dredging techniques. These efforts reflect a growing awareness of the delicate balance between human consumption and the survival of marine life. Beyond their practical uses, sea scallops contribute to the ecosystem in subtle ways. Their filtering activity helps maintain water quality by removing plankton and other particles from the water. Large aggregations of scallops create microhabitats for smaller organisms, from tiny shrimp to juvenile fish, which find shelter among the shells. In this way, scallops act as ecosystem engineers, shaping their environment and supporting a variety of marine life, even while remaining mostly hidden beneath the sand. Emerging research explores how scallops are responding to the challenges of a changing climate. Rising ocean temperatures and acidification can slow growth and weaken shells, making scallops more vulnerable to predators. Scientists are experimenting with aquaculture and habitat restoration to help populations adapt. Protecting these creatures requires both observation and intervention, as the subtle shifts in their numbers can indicate broader changes in the ocean's health. Every ripple across the ocean floor reminds researchers that these creatures have stories older than many coastlines.